from California, Congressman Issa, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this hearing. As you recall, the first hearing held by this committee after you became chairman was on substantially the same subject. I will ask today that you join me in a letter asking for the GAO to update their findings so that we can look forward to not only having new facts, but in all likelihood, new enforcement.
Without objection, I will join you on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The goal of today's hearing is not just to shed light on an ongoing issue, but to make sure that the industry of both contractors and the government agencies that oversee those contractors realize that the time, as the chairman said, is long overdue to bring about quick and predictable disbarment and suspension. Each of us may have different examples of those entities which should be suspended or debarred. The truth is, all of the chairman's likely candidates should be scrutinized and either cleared or taken off the rolls, and all of my candidates, I suspect, should be either evaluated and cleared or taken off the rolls. It is, in fact, in my opinion, every single contractor's responsibility to live up to a high standard, and if there's any question from any quarter as to their conduct, it should be thoroughly investigated. Just yesterday, at the chairman's directive, we reviewed the question of both contractors and private individuals, either employees or government contractors, who were seriously delinquent in their taxes, whether they should also be ineligible for contract or even employment. Although there is not bipartisan support on how to achieve this, there is bipartisan recognition that bad actors make for bad government. Mr. Chairman, I will delve slightly into one partisan example, but I do so for a reason. We in the Congress voted on a bipartisan and overwhelming basis in the House and the Senate to defund ACORN. Whether we agree with federal court decisions now pending or not, it is clear that some members of the court believe that the Association of Community Organizations for Reform Now, better known as ACORN, in their opinion, cannot be defunded by congressional fiat. That begs the real question. Why is it there were people repeatedly breaking laws, being indicted, and even convicted, and still operating within that organization? In fact, funds still being received even after it was shown that funds of the federal government had been embezzled and covered up. This is an example where, from this dais, we cannot bring about effective enforcement. We should not, on a regular basis, take up the question of any company or any organization. But in order to live to that expectation that I think the chairman and I want us to do, which is to never again have a House floor vote or a Senate vote related to defunding an organization, we must call on our agencies to do their job not only better, but much quicker. So, Mr. Chairman, my apologies for something which has often been considered to be partisan, but I believe that that partisanship would have been completely unnecessary, and tough votes for people on both sides would have been unnecessary if, in fact, the use of these tools had been aggressive. None of us would have questioned if an organization or an individual had been reviewed and properly cleared, but to not be reviewed, to go on receiving additional funds by any organization, including contractors and, quite frankly, even the continuation of federal employees, must in fact reach a higher standard, one that the chairman made clear by having his first hearing on this subject and is making clear today by having an additional hearing. So I join with the chairman in all of his remarks and yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you very much. I thank the gentleman from California for his statement.